My partner, 23F, has a habit of buying me, 28 meters, expensive gifts. How do I convince her that they are unnecessary? Edit, part of what makes me uncomfortable is the fact that she is essentially paying 3 times MSRP for the thing I want, which is a graphics card. For those who aren't aware, there is a major graphics card shortage right now, so the RTX 3070, a $500 MSRP graphics card, is currently selling for $1,300 on eBay and is almost impossible to find. You can get a not terrible deal sometimes by buying a pre-built computer with an RTX 3070 in it, but I have a decent computer otherwise and don't really need the upgrade on the other parts. I would feel much less uncomfortable if she could somehow get the graphics card at MSRP. My partner and I have been dating for 2.5 years and she often buys me large gifts that make me feel uncomfortable. For example, I found out today that she was attempting to buy me a new gaming PC for $1,500 today, and as soon as a week into our relationship she would buy me gifts that were over $100. I appreciate the sentiment behind it, but I've explained to her that gift giving isn't one of my love languages and I would prefer if she saved that money for herself and her future. Neither of us are wealthy, but we both have a decent income. Not counting some recent stock market gains, I make more money than her though. I don't know if it's a me problem for being unable to accept them and not feel bad for it, but I know that her family growing up had an unhealthy issue of giving money to show love, and I want her to know that she doesn't need to do that with me. What is a good way to gently bring up that I don't need her to spend large amounts of money on me? TL, Doctor, I found out that my partner is wanting to buy me a new computer and I feel uncomfortable about her spending that much money on me. Love languages aren't just about how you want to be loved but how you express love. She clearly expresses her love through gift giving. Wouldn't try and tell her to stop, but tell her to tone it down. Gift giving isn't really about how much they spend, it's more a way of telling them, hey, I was thinking about you and thought you would like this, or this reminded me about of you so I got it, or I know this makes you happy so I wanted to get it for you. Instead of a $1,500 gaming PC, she can buy you a $15 game or a $1 bag of chips. As far as talking about her spending habits, if you are worried she spends more than she should, then that's a whole different conversation to have. I'd suggest proposing a spending limit, as it seems it's more the cost bothering you. Find a way, directly or offhandedly, to mention that you should each be saving more, and a great way to budget would be to limit spending on gifts. Similarly, my husband used to buy me a bunch of things and I mentioned we should start limiting each holiday to a single gift. He agreed and it's been great. Have you explained that this makes you uncomfortable, or just said that she doesn't have to? Think you need to be clear that this makes you feel negatively. I'd also articulate a firm dollar limit on gifts, Christmas, birthday, anniversary, just because, instead of more vague this is too much. In the future make a fuss when she picks out something that is thoughtful rather than expensive. This is probably going to be a conversation that does make her feel bad for a short time. Sometimes that's healthy. You can use the compliment sandwich technique to emphasize that you appreciate that she wants you to feel loved and you know this is coming from a good place. But there's also an element of just ripping the band-aid off. In this instance she countered that I had bought her an expensive gaming laptop before, which is technically true, but I bought a broken one that I repaired, so the 2K laptop cost about $400, which she knows. She was also a student at the time with a failing computer, whereas this one would just let me crank up the settings in my games. He actually does a really good with thoughtful gifts, and honestly this is a thoughtful one, just too expensive. She has made some killer paintings as gifts. 22F, do the same with my boyfriend, 27M, even with the salaries, although I definitely don't spend that much. He doesn't even know it, because I hate to admit it's skeptical. But just to tell you from a different perspective. Often I give stuff to him, as is my love language. For me, it shows that I care about him. Unfortunately, he's not like that at all, which sometimes it stupidly affects me. for me, when he remembers to give something, doesn't need to be expensive or anything, it can be a picked flower, a card, it means the world, especially when is something that I need, it means he pays attention and cares. Like, that's the way we are, and we can adapt a little, but he's never gonna disappear. Be patient, but definitely open up to her and tell her it makes you uncomfortable. I hope I helped. I wasn't the best at gift giving initially but got much better about 6 months in. Small gifts either way don't bother me one bit, and a larger gift on a major event, birthday, Christmas, anniversary, seems right, but the sheer financial size of this one, combined with the fact that it isn't pegged to a significant event, makes me uncomfortable. I don't want you to spend so much money on me. Repeat as necessary. If she continues, then you know she's doing it to make herself feel good and not you. My boyfriend wants to go on a trip with a girl who likes him. Good morning, I've 18F been going back and forth with this situation in my head, and I'm really hoping that you all can help me organize my thoughts. My boyfriend 18 meters, of almost 9 months, was invited by an old friend of mine 17F who recently confessed to him that she likes him, despite the fact that we are dating. I wasn't invited, and when he asked if I could come, she replied saying that she doesn't want a third wheel. This is a fair concern on her part, but the fact that I was uninvited because she wants his full attention just bothers me a bit. It's not that I don't trust my boyfriend, and more so that I don't trust her. I also don't understand why he would want to go when they've only known each other for a few months. Nonetheless, I don't know what to do. I don't want him to go because it makes me uncomfortable, but I also know that making him not go is unhealthy. I don't know if by telling him how I feel it would be the equivalent of an abusive relationship where one partner won't let their SO hang out with their friends. Please help me. What do I do? TLDR, my boyfriend wants to go on a beach trip with a girl who likes him, and I'm uncomfortable with it but don't want to be a crazy abusive girlfriend. This is a hard no. Ask your boyfriend how he would feel with you going off on some adventure with some dude who likes you and pointedly doesn't want your BF around. If he says he wouldn't care, he's either lying or you're simply incompatible. In either instance, at this point it would probably behoove you to tell him you feel the relationship has run its course, as you have fundamental differences of what's acceptable boundaries. You have cool girl syndrome. Get over it. None of what he's doing and that girl is doing is normal. Why would they go on a beach trip if they don't know each other well or for that long? Why just the two of them? Why didn't he immediately turn her down when she didn't invite you? Where will they be staying? For how many days? You know that since she likes him, she'll be wanting to flaunt herself in a bikini around him, right? Red flags. Like so many red flags. The biggest red flag, however, is that he is seriously considering going. Stop playing cool girl. Men always say that as the defining compliment, don't they? She's a cool girl. Being the cool girl means I am a hot, brilliant, funny woman who adores football, poker, dirty jokes, and burping, who plays video games, drinks cheap beer, loves threesomes and anal sex, and jams hot dogs and hamburgers into her mouth like she's hosting the world's biggest culinary gangbang while somehow maintaining a size 2. Because cool girls are above all hot and understanding. Cool girls never get angry, they only smile in a chagrined, loving manner and let their men do whatever they want. Go ahead, shit on me, I don't mind, I'm the cool girl. Where did you get the idea that simply letting him know your feelings and telling him that you don't want him to go because you think this girl is up to no good is abusive? Abusive would be locking him in your room and not letting him out. Stop being the cool, understanding girlfriend and speak your damned truth. A beach trip where she can flaunt herself off in a bikini in front of your young BF. Just the two of them, alone. Tell him that idea is insane, that you have boundaries and deserve respect, and that she isn't respecting your guys' relationship in the slightest. Your BF should absolutely have recognized that this girl is going to try to put some moves on him and get him to cheat. Did he tell you he said no to this? Hell no. It is totally unacceptable for him to go, and if he does, end it and move on. He shouldn't even want to go. Like, WTH, I'm just astounded by this. My 24M parents avoid me and never want to see me. They told me to cancel the tickets I bought to see them and I feel heartbroken. I'm sorry for the huge wall text, I didn't realize its length before finishing writing it. I get to the crux of it on the second to last paragraph, without counting the too long didn't read, and there's a TL at the end of the post. I came out as gay to my parents when I was 17 and I feel very disconnected from them since then. Them, my sister and my grandma on my mother's side are my family and that's it. I don't really talk to the rest of my mother's family except from my grandma, and my father really hasn't one apart from us. I've never met my grandparents on my father's side because my father doesn't talk to them since he left home when he was 18, and my grandpa on my mother's side passed away 10 years ago. They have never said anything bad to me about my sexuality. The night I told my parents, they just didn't say anything, really. They just stared at me for some minutes. And when it went awkward enough, my mom asked me when and how this happened. After this, it was like I had never told them anything about it, but they didn't act like they didn't know I was gay too, like mentioning girls etc. It just seemed like they were okay with it but also didn't want to talk about it. Everything was so weird and fake to me somehow. But maybe I was overreacting. I was always comparing their attitude towards this matter to very bad experiences people have when coming out, and I tried to convince myself that I was lucky. But really, I really have never felt good about it. Plus, for some reason I was not being invited for my mother's family meetings anymore. I mean, I used to go to probably just 10% of them, but they just didn't invite me anymore. When I finished high school, they proposed me to go to the south of my country for college, and I really liked the idea and went for it. I was there for 2 years before dropping the school for not liking my course. During these 2 years I was there, I went home 3 times. Yes, 3 times, even though it was just a 2-hour flight and I had enough free time to go there and we had money. I mean, they had it. But something was always coming up. Something was always making a trip to go there not a good time for them, and they were always postponing it and not buying me tickets. They weren't contacting me while I was there. I was the one initiating, always. Every conversation I tried to make with them went silent after just a few minutes. I was always trying to rationalize this, thinking that maybe I was just trying to find a problem in the situation. The fact that they fully supported me financially and never even complained about it didn't fit the idea of them not liking me or not wanting me in their life anymore, so I tried to suck this up. Maybe something was up and it was being overwhelming to them and they didn't want to tell me. After I dropped college, I went back home for 1.5 years and I never felt comfortable there. I felt like they were just being polite to me but never really interested in talking to me. This went on for a whole year and I just wanted to move out. After some conversation, I decided to pursue a bachelor's in Europe and they agreed to it, and to support me. I came here in September of 2018, and haven't gone back home once. Not even once. Okay, the tickets are somewhat expensive, but really, they can pay for them. Maybe they can't afford multiple trips every year, but at least 1 or 2 is perfectly fine, financially speaking. In the summer of 2019, I didn't go there because they were going on a trip for a full month. I asked to join them, but they told me that they couldn't afford my plane ticket to go with them because the trip was very expensive and also because the plane tickets from Europe to the place that they were going were much more expensive than from our country. They told me I couldn't go for Christmas in 2019 because my sister and her husband were going there for the first time for Christmas. They live abroad, and they would be in my room. Really? I told them that they could rent me a room in the city for at least a week or 2 so I could join them all, and the response was that they were already affording the trip for both my sister and her husband and that they were running out of money, and then told me I definitely would go home in the summer. Then the pandemic broke out and the whole country here was in a very strict lockdown. Everyone I know went back to their home cities, and I asked my parents to go back home during the lockdown since my classes were going to be online. Their response was that it would be too risky for them because I could catch COVID on the flight. I told them that everyone needed to have a negative PCR test before the departure, and they said that someone could catch it after doing the test, that this would be risky for them and for me too, and that we didn't know when my classes were going to be in person again and it could be expensive to buy a ticket for me to come back here in the nick of time. Okay. Then, when the last summer came, they used the exact same excuse to not buy me tickets. I said that I could isolate myself for some days after I got there, but they still said it was risky for my health and that I shouldn't go. At that point I was already very, very sad. The lockdown was being very hard on me because I was alone the whole time here, plus, the communication since I got here has been as bad as it was when I was at the southern region of my country. They rarely initiate contact, and sometimes when they do, is to ask for my IBAN and stuff like that, or to let me know that they will take a little longer to send me money. Last Christmas I decided not to propose going there, hoping they would say something, but they didn't. When the Christmas day came, they sent me a message wishing me Merry Christmas and asking me what I was up to. I told them that a friend of mine had invited me to spend the Christmas with his family, but I was not sure if I should go yet, so my mom told me I should go. I said that I hoped I could spend the next Christmas with them, and she said she hopes that too. And that was it. I decided not to go spend the Christmas with my friend because I was too sad, and I also was embarrassed of telling him why I didn't want to. It's been 2.5 years since I last saw them, and since the lockdown started, I've been saving a lot of money. BC, of course there's not much for me to do here since COVID's outbreak. So, I made a very bad decision out of desperation and bought tickets to go there this summer. Yesterday night, I decided to video call them and tell them the news, but they told me it wasn't a good idea because they were going to visit my sister and her husband in the summer. We then had a fight because I got upset and reminded them that they said I would go there this summer. They got angry at me because I was being rude to them and to stop speaking so loud because they raised me better. Then I started to cry and asked them why they couldn't come visit me then, instead of me going there and them going to visit my sister, and all my mom said was that she wanted to help my sister with pregnancy stuff, that this is important to our whole family and that I should be more understanding. Then I told them I don't feel like I'm part of the family anymore and hung up on them. Today my father texted me asking how much I paid for the tickets, saying that they would give me the money back. I still haven't replied. I really don't know what to do anymore, and I feel very neglected, that they don't like me and don't miss me. I don't have energy anymore and I'm very, very sad. What do I do? I feel embarrassed to talk to my friends about this, and I just don't know if I really want to open up to them about this matter because it hurts so much every time I think about this situation. I also don't want anyone feeling pity for me because I'm sure that's how they would feel. Please, I really need someone's advice and support. Frown. Too long didn't read : since I came out as gay to my parents, even though they've never said anything to me about it, they slowly pulled away from me and they are never available to see me, even though they fully support me financially and have money to buy tickets for me to go see them. They proposed me to go study in the south of my country, and I was there for 2 years but visited them only 3 times, because it was never a good time to see them. Now I've been living in another continent for 2.5 years, they still support me but I haven't seen them not even once, again because it's never a good time to go there. Out of desperation, I bought plane tickets as a surprise. We had already discussed that I'd go there in the summer, and told them I'd be going to visit them this summer, but they said I can't go because of my sister's pregnancy, who also lives abroad, since they are going there to help her. My father offered my money back and that's it. I feel heartbroken, neglected, and as they don't like me or miss me.